Oh, is this where I suffer for having not gotten all the rooms? I'm sorry, everyone. I made a mistake, but I wasn't using a guide. I was just finding what I found. I don't even know if this affects anything in the slightest, but here we go. Very white, bright, my eyes, ouch. This reminds me of the time we were blind in this game. Was it Dylan?
Mother!
No, her mother.
Don't be like this.
We are in hell.
Turn away, Senua! Turn away, Senua!
So she is here. Oh, who's that? Back away from
You
me.
see it, Senua.
Oh, you're that guy. Are you based on her father?
You see the darkness, faces of fear and suffering. I see it.
That's a bad way to go. I mean, she's already dead, so this is just her living through her own personal hell. The mother, I think. She didn't escape it. Or this is all figments of Senua's imagination.
I remember it clearly now.
Okay, quiet and let me talk to Senua.
She has nothing to fear anymore. The gods have saved your mother. Through my hand.
You killed her.
It is the will of the gods.
Fuck the gods! You did this to her! Why?
Oh.
This is what happens when you listen to the voices of the underworld. They crawl into your soul and rot you from the inside. Defy the gods like your mother, and the darkness will come for you too. You understand, Senua?
Take your sword and cut him in half.
I do understand. You cursed me with your own madness. I was just a child. You created this darkness! You created this darkness so you could hide behind it!
Oh.
Only suffering brings salvation. It is the way of the gods.
Hello.
It was all a lie. You are a lie! She didn't defy the gods. She defied you. And so you killed her.
You didn't pray to the gods. You prayed to your mother. Your mother, who was too weak to fight the darkness and abandoned you.
You tortured her. You killed her. You are the darkness.
Wow. That revelation. Wow. So Senua this entire time has been like, so I think there's going to be 2 big fights over here, and or she's going to move a bunch and we're going to have more fights, but Senua couldn't remember this entire game what happened to her mother. She's like, oh, even earlier I remember her having a line saying like, do you remember what happened to my mother when she died? How she died? And she's like, they told me she sacrificed herself to the gods. But no, it was the father and his derangement who killed his own wife and Senua's mother. Okay, maybe no one will be here. Okay. Get up, girl.
Those rituals, the years of isolation, the pain that still haunts you. It was the only way to fight the curse within you.
Oh, that's up her face now.
The darkness is
It-
silently destroying you.
picked up where we had died on the bridge.
The darkness is here. You cannot wish it away.
He's the bad guy, for
Tis
sure.
you draw love's dying dust.
I won't let you kill me.
This music! Hello there, Shadow Man. I don't have this point. Okay, so it's kind of like the... It's kind of like at the very beginning. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Watch out. So I still have the voices. I'm glad it gives me lots of room.
Watch out.
Okay. This is hard. Please don't spawn another one of those. Oh, you did.
Careful, Senua. Behind you.
Oh. Oh, forget this.
Careful.
This time I'm finally feeling the sense of, yes, I am surrounded. There's so many other times where they've been like, yeah, you're surrounded, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, there's one guy to my left and one guy to my right. Let's keep on cycling.
Behind you. Careful. Behind you. Watch out. Be careful, Senua.
It's nice that they're mixing up how the fight sequences are going, because for quite a while now they've been very like, one guy appears, then two guys appear, and then one guy appears, and then another two guys, and then another two guys. Oh. So the stakes do feel increased here now. Oh, did not see you over there, friend. Apologies for ignoring you. No one wants to be ignored at a party. Now here's the point to rack up combos.
I can see through your darkness. You're a liar
I figured since I had
and
a
a
full...
murderer.
Oh, does it dissolve
and
them all?
if you really are Hela, then I have a sword here that can kill a god.
Mm-hmm. You tell her. Okay. So that's destroyed. How do we... 1 second, give me a second. There, fix something. Oh, wait. It's slowly fixing? Does it just slowly fix itself? Oh, that is cool.
Run forward. backwards to wallow in your miserable past.
Sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward.
You're making a mistake searching for Dillion. The same mistake that killed him in the first place.
Confronting the darkness. We will see about that.
I'm trying to save you from yourself.
Girl, hold on.
You said that it is a lie. The plague of darkness, the butchering of Dillion by the Northmen. You saw it yourself.
You told everyone I was cursed. They believed you. I believed you.
Tell me, Senua, where is Dillion's soul if the darkness is a lie? How you saved him?
What happened to her other arm?
He's here. I know he's here.
We've been tracking him. He's definitely here.
Dillion, I know you're here. Hold on. I'll find you.
Well, forget that. I'm glad I had some practice earlier. Come on. Focus point. I mean, it's shadows, so I can't do anything with it. But I don't see any focus points coming through. Oh, now this is interesting. I'm facing all the old bosses. That's rude. This is going to be a point where I'm really going to hate the auto-tracking. If there's a way to switch, I've never found it.
Watch out.
Yes, they are all behind me. Oh, hey! It's Cert. Cert the Dirt. I'm keeping this focus point for just in case. Please don't regret keeping this focus point. We had good times, didn't we, Cert? I mean, sure, you were a flame monster, but you were the first big boss. And you walk so slow. And you have such a big, cool sword. And that was anticlimactic. Did I switch? Am I on Cert now? I want to have some fun with Cert. I like the design of this section. Nope. Ah! That's rude. Why is the shadow always so rude, guys? Focus, focus, focus. Okay, is it just sort? Because we got 2 of the big shadow doggo. From a narrative perspective, I wouldn't mind if it were just the 1 of each. Okay, hold on there, hold on. Okay, back up. I should have died right there. I don't know why I didn't. The game was going easy on me. Okay, are we alone? Are we alone? Are we alone? Are we alone? Okay. Please no, please no. Oh, I hated that from last time. So now it's doing the more advanced movesets from the previous boss. Saving? It's saving?
Dillian! Where is he?
Where are you, Dillian?
You're trying to trick me again with your lies. I know he's here. You took him from me. You have him.
I just love this effect.
Stop.
The father probably killed him.
Let him go now. I'm warning
Or what? What can you do to me that you haven't already? Fight me. Come on.
Here we go, gamers. Oh, Hella got smaller and smaller.
Careful, Senua.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me.
Behind you.
Excuse me. Oh, so sorry.
you. You betrayed your own father. You betrayed the gods in search of Dillian, in search of love. Look where that's got you.
So I know Hella's just to my left.
Let go of redemption.
Oh, shoot.
Go of Dillian.
Careful, Senua.
Don't let your darkness hurt anyone else.
Watch out.
Oh. Can we just not? Can we not? My back was turned. It's rude. It's mean. It's unsportsmanly. Okay, these are all guys I could take down. I can't get a clear sight of... Is Hella gone now? Like... What's in the middle? Okay, so Hella is still there. I'm not trying to go face Hella before I face all the goons. Okay.
Let go of your battle. You don't have to fight anymore. You're going to die.
I mean, serious talk for a moment as I continue to focus really carefully. At the beginning, we had a vision of sorts where we were facing shadow creatures, and eventually it got to a point where we could not defeat them anymore. And we're like, nah, that's not gonna happen to us. But let's just consider the game might be scripted to make us lose.
You're going to die. Careful.
Oh no! Oh, please! Final battle. Is that because it went to the head, or was that because of the timing? Oh, I'm so sorry. Whichever it was, I'm not sure. Senua, I'm so sorry. What's happening to your hip? That was weird. Hands on the keyboard, maybe something will... I'm so sorry. Was that like... Couldn't it be beads, or... I get one more go? Like, that can't be the end of it. Oh no, here's Hella. It's too late to bargain? Oh, the sword is too far away. She has the sword. The mirror, the mirror. Oh, Dillian. We're getting back into the light a little bit.
If you're alive, and there's no darkness, then you never took him from me, did you?
And he's been with us the whole time.
And I can't save Dillian.
Okay, we came to separate conclusions. Aww, Senua. I don't like that. I can't see what Hella's doing.
Is that what you want me to believe? After all you've done to me? And to him?
Okay. I thought she went mad for a moment there.
You're not a lie, but you're a liar! You crawled into me to confuse me and deceive me. But I know it's him. I know you have him.
Yeah. But we're kind of not at the advantage, Senua. We don't have a sword.
I'll give you my life.
This is
What you want, isn't it? My soul. Take it. I'll be a slave for you. I'll fight with you at Ragnarok. If you release him.
No comment? Really, Hella? Senua's a really good warrior. I guess Hella's considering our words very deeply. Maybe we intimidated her so much she can't speak. Or Senua needs time to come to a different conclusion.
But if you won't, you will have to kill me. Because I've got nothing left. No fear. No hate. No quest. Nothing.
She's come a long way. Sacrificed a lot.
And you will have no power over me.
She seems to be having power over you, Senua. Is the darkness deceiving me? Senua, get up. I'm hitting the spacebar, Senua. Please get up. That's a lot of blood, Senua. We have to save Dillian. We can't give up now.
I learned the hard way to not be afraid of death, Senua. Because a life without loss is one without love. You turn your back on death, and all you can see is the shadow that it casts. The longer you hide from it, the longer the shadow grows until all you can see is darkness. When our time comes, we must look death in the eye and embrace it as a friend. Only then can we let go of our fear. And emerge from that darkness.
She definitely did not embrace it as a friend at that moment. Or maybe now she will? Hella, what are you doing with her head? Not her head, Dylan's head. Oh, her character design is so cool! I wish I'd been able to see it more clearly. All those runes. And that cool shimmer, it kind of looks like she's on fire, but not quite.
Never forget what it is like to see the world as a child, Senua. Every autumn leaf is like a work of art. Every rolling cloud a moving picture. Every day, a new story. We too emerge from this magic, like a wave from the ocean, only to return to the sea.
Did he throw his head into the sea? Oh, Senua! Are you alive, girl?
Do not mourn the waves, the leaves, and the clouds. Even in darkness, the wonder and the beauty of this world never leaves us. It is always there, waiting to be seen again.
The voices are back! This was not the reunion party I was expecting.
Oh no. Oh. It's the rocks. The darkness is back. The darkness is Wait. What is it? It feels... It's different. It feels...
It's fading?
Is it okay?
This is where my story once began.
What?
It's different.
And so it has to end here,
It's changed.
because I cannot see further than this.
Senua.
Follow us. We have another story to tell. My friend. Go with her.
Are you not coming, narrator?
This now
goodbye. I guess we're off on another adventure. Well, the credits. That's the end. We made it. Wow. I was not expecting that ending. I managed to, it's been out for a while, this game, but I'd managed to stay clear of any of the spoilers of anything. And we start off going off to hell to save Dillian and talk with Hela, but then we supposedly get infected with darkness, and Hela gets inside us and is able to read our mind and throw obstacles in our path. And then slowly, I enjoyed the part where it unveiled, it gave greater nuance to the darkness, because there's the fact that her father was definitely a dark aspect on her childhood, and that darkness in her childhood has affected her through into her adult life and been a detriment, really, for her other relationships, like with Dillian and everything. Definitely kudos to all these people going down the way. The music was great, the writing was great, the whole concept was very good. Furries. Did I miss something about this game? Sorry. It was very well done. Kudos to Ninja Theory, the developers. I know when I was looking for the game originally, I did see the tag often ending explained. So I guess I did have that little bit spoiled for me that was going to be somewhat ambiguous in any way. But the Hela was on the ground right there, if it was Hela. And Senua was the one that threw the head off the cliff, which shows that really she came to an understanding that Dillian was gone, and she was moving on from the past and was trying to focus on the future. I'm curious to see what that future will be, because special thanks to the ninjas. I wonder if those ninjas were their playtesters or something. What aspect they played. But anyways, I wonder what's going to come next. Like, I'd love to play any other games these developers came out with in the future. Like, it looked gorgeous the whole way through, and Senua, like, my girl, I can't just leave her. I have to see where she goes next. Although, the fact that one moment she's saying, "You're gonna have to kill me because I have no future, no fears, no hopes, no dreams." Not in those exact words, but basically, like, she's like, "I don't have anywhere to go from here," which her whole village died to the plague. Her mother was burned alive by her father. Her father might still be alive. It was never confirmed one way or another. She wasn't looking for him in hell, so... But they were estranged. Severely estranged. But the... One thing I will say is, a critique is the tracking of the enemies. Maybe it was just something I couldn't figure out. Like, I played with the keys and I didn't see an option for it, but to be able to switch between who I was attacking, I know in other games that is a common feature to have, and in this one it would have helped so that I wouldn't be focusing on guy A, and then guy B is right here, and then I'm trying to switch to guy B, but I'm still focusing on guy A and getting hits. I'm also still not sure on what would have happened. I'd be curious. I don't think I'm gonna immediately go for another playthrough to see what happens if you do have all the rooms, and I'm not sure if I could have done anything more at that ending there. If you'd like to find out any more about psychosis and mental health difficulties, visit hellbladehelp.info. That would be fun to look at, because I know this was very informative as far as what psychosis could be like, but I'm not sure what was the psychosis versus what was kind of a bit dramatized. It'd be hard to tell. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. So I wonder what the next game will be like. Hellblade, Senua's Awesome Adventure. Who knows? Working title. Feel free to take that one. You could come up with better, I'm sure. But overall, great game. Very much enjoyed it. Thank you guys for sticking through it and watching all of this. Definitely appreciate that. And please give a like if you like this video, and hope to see you in some of my other videos as well. 1 second. I might just check out one thing though. The Hellblade feature. Before you go. Hellblade feature. Because the following feature contains spoilers. We recommend completing
Stormy seas and lost souls.
Who is it?
She's dreamt of this before.
It's coming.
Let's just see what this is together. It might explain more of the story.
Dreams are visions of our memories, thoughts, and fears, as seen by our inner eye.
I love this scene, by the way. The
What if each one of us is
meeting
always
on
dreaming,
the bridge.
even when awake? And we only see what our inner eye creates for us. Is this what hell is? A world shaped by Senua's nightmares. Maybe that's why people fear seeing the world through her eyes.
Yes, she's scared.
Because if you believe that Senua's reality is twisted, you must accept that yours might be too.
Hellblade, Senua's Psychosis. Written and narrated by Tommy.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a video game about Senua, a Celtic warrior on a vision quest into Viking territory. But what sets our hero Senua apart is that she suffers from severe psychotic mental illness.
He knows she's getting closer. He can feel her coming closer. She's getting closer. They're watching.
The original idea for Hellblade was to create a classic hero's journey, a journey of suffering, but one where the fantasy world is not another planet or alternate universe, but a world that is constructed in Senua's mind. But to do so would mean putting psychotic mental illness at the center of the experience, a subject that is still considered taboo, and a challenge that was both terrifying and exciting in equal measure. In Hellblade, the starting point was a newly discovered Celtic goddess called Senua in Ashwell, Hertfordshire. When first discovered, her name was thought to be Senua, a name which I liked and kept. I wondered if Senua might have been a Celtic warrior like Boudica, who stood up to the Romans. While the Romans had conquered all of Europe, there was a group of Celts up in the furthest reaches of the Roman Empire that could not be conquered, the Picts. And so the Romans built a wall, called Hadrian's Wall, that spans across Britain from sea to sea to keep the Pictish barbarians at bay. The Picts were known for their war paint, painted on with woad, and their matted hair clumped with lime. And so Senua would be a barbarian Pict in this image.
What's your name?
Senua,
I haven't seen you before.
I don't live home much.
Oh, Zeno's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait.
Orkney is off the coast of Scotland and was inhabited by the Picts, steeped in history and mystery, and so I made Orkney Senua's home and set the stage for a crisis. In the late 8th century, the first Vikings landed on the Orkney Islands. The population of the Picts crashed thereafter, replaced by the Norsemen of the 9th century. Were they wiped out? We don't know for sure, but it would seem likely given the reputation of the Vikings. The Northmen's brutality is legendary. High-ranking leaders and chieftains of the tribes they conquered were often offered as sacrifice to their gods. The most brutal of these sacrifices was known as the Blood Eagle. I imagine Senua as a young female warrior who returns home from exile to find her partner, Dillion, brutally sacrificed to a Norse god by these hellish warriors from a faraway land. I imagine the horror of this moment and how it would have dragged her deep into mental torment. came to learn that the Celts had a sophisticated and nuanced perspective on the nature of mental disorder. One term they used was Gelt. A Gelt is a man or woman who has been driven mad by a curse, battle trauma, or grief. The Gelt would take to a life in the woods in search of penance, punishment, and purgation. And so Senua became a Gelt, cursed by darkness, looking for redemption in the wilds.
That explains it.
Another word the Celts used in reference to mental disorders was truth, meaning fool, or
Liar.
one who utters the words of God. They tell of the mad sinner who flees battle into exile and takes on a beastly nature, growing feathers on his body. The character called Truth in Hellblade is based on a little-known person called Findan, an 8th century Irish Celt who was captured and enslaved by the Vikings, but eventually escaped to Orkney where he became a monk.
I will tell you my stories of hell, if I may walk with you.
Upon meeting Senua, it would be his stories that fuel her quest deep into their world of gods.
The Northmen say the world will come to an end. The sun will grow black, the earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and people everywhere. Senua, prepare yourself for Ragnarok, for it is nigh.
Oh, cool.
So the stage was set for a new adventure, a journey into the Norse underworld called Hell, a vision quest fueled by madness and myth, a fantasy that was created by Senua's own mind, and one that we would experience through her eyes.
This is your mission. This is your quest. There is nothing else left.
To make a game about a warrior with psychotic mental illness as its central theme was fraught with danger. Mental illness, such as psychosis, is still taboo and rarely acknowledged in a century of cinema, never mind the new medium of games. Where it does feature, it often conflates psychosis and psychopathy, associated with a lack of empathy. It is unfortunate that these two words sound so similar that they are used interchangeably in media. I must admit that I didn't have to look very far to discover my own ignorance of the subject. So we reached out to Paul Fletcher, psychiatrist and professor of health neuroscience at University of Cambridge.
Psychosis is a descriptive term, and it refers to having a loss of contact with objective reality. So it's characterized by two main sets of symptoms. One of them is hallucinations, where somebody experiences perceptions when there is no actual objective thing out there to perceive.
You're already dead.
Who are you?
And the other is delusions, where somebody comes to very often bizarre, unpleasant, frightening beliefs when there's no good evidence in favor of them.
There's no doubt about it. The source of the darkness is in Helheim.
Like when she was thinking that Dillian was saying that was the one that was to blame for the plague, and she's like, you see, you said I had blood on my hands, and Dillian's like, what in the world? I never said that. So.
And the goddess Hela holds his soul there.
We reached out to Welcome, a biomedical research charity that spends billions on research and awareness programs aimed at improving health.
Mental health hasn't always been presented in the media in a way that is particularly helpful. It can be challenging to engage people with the subject matter, and there are a lot of preconceived ideas about mental health, and particularly schizophrenia and psychosis. So we hope our support allows the team to continue to collaborate with Paul Fletcher and with those who have experience of psychosis to create a game that provides a fresh perspective on the condition and allows audiences to engage with it in a way that just wouldn't be possible in any other medium.
What started out as a brief consultation convinced me that we were only scratching the surface of an immensely deep and interesting subject that could enrich and change the very nature of the game.
That's cool. Thanks so much for coming here. Pleasure. Thanks. It's really interesting for me, and I'd love to be involved. I think it's fascinating. Absolutely.
Our understanding of psychosis is still very much a mystery, and ways of treating it are still primitive compared to physical illness. After all, it is easy to see the pain and suffering caused by physical diseases or physical trauma. It is not so easy to see the mental suffering and trauma of severe mental illness. But what if we could find a way to see it? Games are capable of drawing you in for hours on end, playing the role of a character who is different from you, experiencing their perspective, and actively involving you in a world that functions with a different set of rules. If we were to represent Senua psychosis, we would have to simulate voice hearing, a common attribute. But how can we simulate something we have no first-hand experience of? Professor Charles Fernyhough, a leading expert in voice hearing from Durham University, offered his help.
Hearing voices is an experience that is usually associated with severe mental illness, and crucially we know that hearing voices is a part of ordinary life for many people who don't meet the criteria for mental illness.
Yeah. Oh, that's not him in real life.
We know voices vary according to where they appear in space. Voices can appear far away in the distance, they can appear right there in your ear, they can seem to be coming from inside your head.
Based on the information Professor Fernyhough provided, I put together a sound brief and invited some actors to the studio. We recorded the actors using a binaural microphone, which records the 3D spatial position of sound, replicating the way sound is heard by human ears. It gives you an incredible sense that the person you are listening to is right there beside you.
Can't see how she's going.
Rachel Waddingham from the Voice Collective.
The voices in my ears and hearing them, I don't know how well that comes across. I hope it comes across the same way for you guys that it came across for me, but like, I just love that detail. Like, hearing I called her the narrator, she was the primary voice, like here in this year, and then all the others were, like swirling around me. And then I felt like the bad voice that maybe the darkness, the male voice, that was kind of like the father, was always in the right ear. I don't know if I just noticed it a few times and kept on thinking that, or if it kept on happening every time.
Came to our studio with 2 young voice hearers to speak to our team. We talked at length about their experiences, and they listened to our tests, giving us feedback on how we could improve on it.
Everyone hates her. She's
that
cursed.
guy.
It's very hard to represent what this experience is like, partly because it's such a personal, intense, emotional experience. It's testament to how Ninja Theory have been listening to what the researchers are saying, but also, crucially, listening to the experts by experience. What they've come up with is so compelling. It's by far the best representation I've heard of what these experiences are like.
Other common attributes of psychosis are visions and flashbacks. We met with Recovery College East, who work with and care for people recovering from severe mental disorders. A group of service users gave us their first-hand account of what they experience.
Sometimes when the visions or what we're seeing is too much, it becomes more difficult until eventually we perhaps don't see anything.
The people we spoke to, the stories they told, were fascinating, harrowing, and mind-boggling. The reality of what people experienced was vivid, far exceeding what I could possibly have imagined. We went away itching to represent some of these visions and flashbacks in the game.
As we all know, my heart is so, love is so far away. Don't you know how
I don't remember this song.
Deeper. I could never know how you grow, all these days are killing me. Now I see deep in me insanity does unfold. I just wanna feel deeper.
I'll listen to Good Briar now, almost as if they're luminous. Oh, that's the part I've been talking about several times. I do think that is very... Sometimes the world appears to be like a kaleidoscope, and it can be beautiful. Exactly, like I feel kind of... Am I okay to say it's beautiful? Like, I know it's a serious thing for them, but when I move quickly, it's a strain on me. Things go too quick for my mind, they get blurred. Oh, those parts always scared me, especially if there were chase scenes. I often see waviness and melting of the walls. It makes me feel nauseous. Understandable. At times, there is nothing to hold on to. The mind goes blank and everything gets switched off.
To refine our work, we continue to hold meetings with Recovery College East over the course of a year and a half, showing them what we had achieved so far and refining the in-game representations based on their feedback. With their help, flashbacks, visions and changes in perception were woven into the story and gameplay of Senua.
The students that are involved in this project are incredibly excited about being involved. They have described the experience as being important because it values their lived experience and shows that despite what we have been through, all of that experience becomes valid, that actually it's something that we should all be talking about.
The experiences described range from beautiful to frightening beyond comprehension. I heard of a girl who has to live with an angry voice screaming at her, slamming on her doors and walls 24 hours a day. I met someone who would often see hanging corpses in a room, so real that she would sometimes try to rescue them. The panic and fear that comes with such visions is entirely understandable, and it can be a living horror for some.
Worthless, weak, pathetic. Go on, feel sorry for yourself, because there is no one left to do that for you.
I was urged by one fellow that we should not shy away from showing this horror, and so I was perpetually torn in making Hellblade. Had we gone too far with our representations or not far enough?
It's a tricky line to tread.
Broken and lost. Just like your sword.
Come on.
In some ways, voice hearing and visions were the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. There's another aspect of psychosis that is much harder to explain, but one that I think video games are uniquely able to represent, which are often called delusions.
People begin to see patterns in the world. They begin to link things that most people wouldn't link. Most of the things that we might think would be coincidence or, not worth commenting on. Nevertheless, that might have a particular salience or importance for them.
One individual described how everyday words, sounds, colours and objects were steeped in meaning to him, forming a strange and sinister puzzle that he was determined to solve but could not quite get to the bottom of.
It's not just brain dysfunction. It's not like the system shut down. It's actually an incredibly creative process. The person creates a world populated with voices and phantasms and terrors, and they're completely immersed in it. They believe in it.
We often invite people into the studio to play the game. In one of our playtests, they played through much of the game, making associations between runes, secret messages, and the threat of darkness that stalked them. There are many things that happen in the world of Hellblade that make perfect sense within the context of Senua's mind. The dark rot that's killing her slowly from within, the secret runes of the gods that block her path to Helheim, and strange associations that exist in the game to confuse you. To complete Senua's quest, you have to internalize and accept the logic and meaning behind these things to progress. Afterwards, they said that they didn't see much evidence of mental illness in the game. People with delusions of all sorts would argue the same thing, that they are not aware of their experience being abnormal in any way.
I need this sword. It's important.
Representing perception changes and thinking patterns within Hellblade gives us a set of symptoms common in psychosis. But people with lived experience were keen to emphasize another point, that it is wrong to define a person by their symptoms. Quite often, the illness comes not from the symptoms, but from the stigma, isolation, and mistreatment that comes about from the rest of society.
Oh.
They say that I'm cursed.
That fits much more
What
with
if they're
what
right?
the gameplay was showing, yeah. Especially because of
I
the
needed
father.
someone to portray Senua, someone who could believably internalize her suffering. Melina Jurgens, our video editor, had been a stand-in for Senua over a few months while we perfected our motion capture techniques. Without realizing it, she had already auditioned for the role, and I knew her well enough to know that I didn't have to teach her to act, but to relive her own internal pain. As often is the case, those who have suffered mental anguish are never far from us.
She did a terrific job, just phenomenal.
My hope is that by creating a compelling and aspirational character in Senua who feels very much real, albeit in a fantasy setting, we can provide a lens into her reality, a different one to yours, and this is where storytelling comes into play. I imagined her life based on common threads in real people's lives. She was always prone to psychosis as a child. Her mother Galena also heard voices and had visions, so perhaps there was a genetic aspect. Or perhaps it was cultural, as she lived within a world without science, of gods and superstition, as exemplified by her druid father Zimbal. Psychosis developed in her late teens to early 20s and was exacerbated by stigma and isolation at the hands of the clansmen and her father.
I thought she had it when she was a child. She mentioned seeing faces on the walls.
The trauma of seeing her lover Dillian sacrificed tips her over the edge, making her remodel her reality around a concept that connects everything: the darkness. So the question is, what Senua experiences real? Can only be answered by saying, yes, it is real. It is her reality.
All of her suffering will have been for nothing. It's just a matter of time.
Towards the end of the project, service users and professionals that had collaborated with us were invited to see the near-final game. It was a chance to see if the game had reflected their views or if it had misrepresented them.
For me, being involved in especially developing Senua's character has been really important, and being able to bring in my perspective and what I see and what I hear, and having that built into the game has been a real privilege. It's gritty and it's meaty, and there are some tough subjects in there that are being tackled with honesty.
I was blown away by it today, absolutely blown away. It was just fantastic to get the opportunity to use our lived experience in a very creative way. There's nothing tokenistic about the work we've put in. It feels like we've been listened to, things have been taken on board, and I think there was a lot of realism in the game itself, and it feels very authentic.
The shadow monsters were really scary.
Hellblade will give people a good experience of what it's like to hear voices and have those experiences. I'm glad that the guys at Ninja Theory have asked us to come along and help them build an experience that's positive when it comes out, and get myself a copy and have a go.
I think all the way through, I was really inspired by how the conversations have translated into the game in a way that I think I didn't imagine was possible. So wonderful, really wonderful.
I really hope that others will follow the lead they've set and use the power of something like a video game to change people's perceptions, to increase understanding, and ultimately to make some of the stigma around voice hearing and other experiences go away.
That would be good. If we could all just understand each other more, then things would be better for everyone.
For me, it was really exciting to see something that I explore scientifically being represented so beautifully in a character who's trying to penetrate the mysteries of the environment in which they've been placed, with all of this strange uncertainty and noise and conflicting information that they're getting. I'm very excited by this way of trying to represent mental illness, because I think it actually might be offering us insights that we wouldn't get from pure scientific explorations, and actually giving us quite an empathic view of what it might be like.
Mental illness has been with us for as long as we have been on this planet, but why? Why hasn't evolution stamped out this weakness from within our gene pool? I often pondered this question until I realized that the question had an inbuilt flaw. It assumes that being and thinking differently is a weakness. The only reason we have computers, spacecraft, medicine, poetry, art, and yes, even video games is because individuals were able to simulate new abstract realities in their minds and share them with the rest of us. We need people to be willing to see differently in order for us to progress and survive as society. And we need to be open to these new ways of seeing. And it is this spirit that motivated me to create Senua's story and share it with you.
that brings that to an end. We've seen the game, we've seen the Hellblade feature. I do like having watched that. I'll try to include that in, because I do think that gives a better understanding of everything, especially the psychosis part, and just really gives a better appreciation of what the developers were going for. I definitely would love to see more games from them, especially tackling similar tough subjects like this of mental illness and helping to just increase awareness and understanding, and like they said, the empathy, because we could all use more empathy. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a good day. Bye!